Okay, so today we're going to be learning how to create a simple app in Xcode that does rock, paper, scissors. So to start, we will create a label. So IB outlet, UI label, and you can call it whatever we want. I'll call it welcome label because the label is going to say welcome to the game. So in here we just have code that says welcome label or whatever you chose to call it, and then you just do dot text equals at, in quotation marks, whatever you want it to say. So welcome to the game. Okay, so now what we have to do is go into our iPhone storyboard and make the label. So just drag it in here. You can make it longer so that way it can fit all our text and center the text so it looks nice. And then you just control click on a Mac or right click on a PC, that little button. Drag out this menu, and where it says welcome label, because we created the outlet already, you just drag it onto the label right there. So now that's connected to that. So when you run it, it displays whatever text you put in earlier. So it should say welcome to the game for me. Okay, so welcome to the game. So now next what we're going to do is create some buttons. So buttons are just like labels. You have to create an IB outlet UI button, and you can call them whatever. I'll call this rock button because we're going to be playing rock, paper, scissors. So we need a button for the person to choose, the player to choose rock. We need a button for them to choose scissors. And need a button for them to choose paper. So you can just name them rock button, scissor button, paper button, or whatever else you'd like. And then we need to create what's called an IB action. So that means in an IB action, basically when something happens, this code is run. So we can call it rock button pressed. So once we link that up with the rock button, whenever the rock button is pressed, it'll do whatever code's in there. So we just make 3 of those for each of the buttons. So scissor button pressed and paper button pressed. These names don't have to align in any way. They're just variable names. So then we copy and paste all 3 of these into our .m file right between our view did load and our view did unload. And we put little curly brackets after each one. And right in here is where we're going to be making our code. So now what we have to do is create an image that will display when you click on the buttons. So in here, make another IB outlet. This time a image view. And you can just call it image. So then in your main storyboard, scroll down a little bit and drag in image view. But now, of course, we have to have something to set the image to, so you can just find any picture of rock, paper, and scissors off the internet. I just have 3 on my desktop. And just drag them into this folder and copy them. And if there's some crazy name, just so they're easier to tell which is which, you just rename them like that. So now we have to have it display those images when you click on the button. So the code will be image dot image equals, well, image dot image may sound a little redundant, but it's actually not, because image is the variable name and it's the image of the image. I made it kind of a confusing variable name, sorry about that. But then basically what we have to do is have it equal to hard brackets with the colon, hard brackets with the colon. And in there we do UI image named semicolon, capitalize that. And whatever we named it over there. So I named it rock JPEG. So rock.jpg. And this has to be in quotation marks. Now we can do the same thing for all of them. We don't want the rock displaying on all of them. So for paper, we want paper displaying. And for scissors, we want the scissor image displaying. Then we go once more back into our storyboard mode. Head and right click on this menu, open it up, and we have an image here. So we link the image to this image view. Then we link paper button to paper, rock button to the rock button, and scissors button to the scissors button. And we have to go down to received actions, link the paper button to the paper button, and touch up inside when this menu comes up. And the rock button to the rock button, touch up inside as well. And scissors, the scissors button. So now we have it all linked. And when we run it and click the buttons, the image that corresponds with that button should appear. Okay, so we click scissors, it says scissors, rock, rock, paper, paper. So now what we have to do is decide what the computer chooses, so you can play against the computer. So computer can either choose rock, paper, scissors, 3 options, and it's got to be random. So we have to create a random number that has 3 options. So for that, we have to create a void class, or void method, sorry. And we can call it computer choice, or whatever you'd like to call it. Add squiggly brackets and our code goes in here. So we have to create a random integer. So we just have an int, call it random. And in order to make random, truly random, we just use this code arc for random, parentheses, then percent, then another parentheses with a 3 in it, which basically has to choose a number either 0, 1, or 2, up to 3. It doesn't actually choose 3. So then what we have to do is add some if statements. So we have if the random number, so random equals 1, then we do what's in here. So what we want it to do is display an image. So we'll have it display paper. But we don't want it to be displaying on the same image. We'll call this new one image 2, but image 2 doesn't exist yet. So we add another image view, copy and paste, image 2, and over here we make room for other image, make this smaller, and drag in another image view, make that smaller, and we can put that one right up here. So this will be a computer, this will be your choice. So now image 2 is an image, and we have that set to paper when it's 1. When it's 0, we have it set to scissor. And when it's 2, we have it set to rock. So I'm just copying and pasting the code for multiple if statements. So now we just go back to our storyboard and we make sure that we link image 2 to this so that we know what it's talking about. And now, but the thing is, when we run it, nothing will happen because this method, computer choice, will never be called. So we could call it at the beginning, but that wouldn't do any good because then it would display the computer's choice way before it displays way before you choose your own, which, you know, then it's not actually random. You just figure out how to win. So we have to call it as soon as you click the button. So under this, in this button code, we just call this method. So self and whatever you called it. So I called it computer choice. You call it right in there. So we can call it every time one of these buttons is pressed. So every time in here. And now we run it. If everything is linked up properly, it'll display the computer's image. So we tied. But now, let's see, the computer won. Now the computer won again. The computer keeps winning. But eventually you'll be able to win. Yeah, there you go. Okay. So scissors beats paper, you win. So now I have to program out for it to tell you automatically when you win. So now what we have to do is create an integer that marks whether you clicked on the paper button, the scissor button, or the rock button. So we go over to our H file, and it's just a simple integer, int, we'll call it button pressed because it marks which button you pressed. And in here, in this code, we just mark button pressed, set it equal to whatever we'd like. So in this case, since we have rock here, and rock here equals 2, so we should have button pressed equals 2. And same thing here, but different variables. So button pressed here, this is scissors, scissor down there is 0, so button pressed equals 0. And last but not least, we have the paper button pressed, which will equal 1. So now what we have to do is actually make a method that actually determines who wins. So we'll call it determine winner, and it's a void method. So you just go like that in the brackets, and then semicolon, 2 curly brackets. Okay, so now before we do anything else, take determine winner, and we have to call it over here. So similar to the code we did earlier, self determine winner, just like computer choice, and we copy and paste it after every button pressed. And now that will run when we press one of the buttons. Okay, so in determine winner, we're going to need a bunch of nested if statements to determine who won. So we have to have a integer that'll actually say who won, so we can just call it winner. So say we set this to 1, that means it's a tie. 2, you win, and 3, you lose, the computer wins. So first off here, we have an if statement, and if button pressed equals 1, which means you press the scissor or paper button, sorry. So if button pressed equals, you do 2 equals just because it's the syntax, and then you have squiggly brackets to what to execute if button pressed equals 1. So that means if you chose scissors, and if random equals 1, so if you chose paper, and the computer chose 1, which is paper as well, if you guys both chose paper, then it'll execute the code in here. And I can just do this, it'll execute this code in here, which will set winner to equal 1. And because that's not an if statement, you don't need 2 equals. Why does that not like that? Okay, I think I made a typo over here. Yeah, put 3 ends in winner over here. Okay, so just make sure your variable names are the same. It's always important. So that means if you guys both chose paper, it's a tie. Then actually, we'll just copy and paste this code because it's faster. So we copy this, but this time change this to 2. So if you chose paper and they chose 2, which is rock, then you win. So that would be 2. And if they chose 0, which is scissor, and you chose paper, they win. So the winner is 3. So then we copy this entire thing and paste that again. But this time we have it for if button pressed equals 2. 2 is rock. So if you chose rock and they chose paper, then the winner would be them, so that's 3. If you chose rock, they chose 2, which is rock again, and the winner would be 1, which is a tie, which leaves 2 as the final. And then you do the same thing. It's time for 0, which I believe is scissors. So if you chose 0 and they chose 1, which is paper, then you win because you cut the paper. And if you choose scissors and they choose 2, which is rock, they win, they smash you. So that's 3, which means if you guys both choose 0, it's a tie. So now we determine the winner and set the winner equal to whoever the winner is. Okay, so now what we have to do is actually move button pressed. We have to make sure button pressed comes before determine winner. So just move that in there, because that way button pressed is set before you're doing all this code. Sorry about that. And then same here, you just move it right in here, and it's already there, right there. So now we have that all set. That'll all be working. Okay, now we're just gonna have some more if statements based on winner. So start, we have to make a label. We'll call it winner label. So IV outlet UI label, and star winner label, or whatever you want to call it, because it'll display who actually won. So then we just say if winner equals 1, then we can have winner label dot text that will equal this string in the syntax at quotation mark string quotation mark. So basically it'll equal it's a tie, semicolon, and we copy that. So if winner equals 2, that means you win, so you just change that text to you win. And oops, if winner is 3, then you lose, so you just change that text to you lose. Then you go back into your iPhone storyboard, create the actual label. So put it right there. We can call it winner just to clarify things. And right click this, grab this menu, and drag winner label and link it up to that. So now that we have that, we can run it, open up iOS simulator, and the game should work. So we have rock, they took paper, you lose, paper, they chose scissors, you lose, it's a tie, you win, and so on. So that's basically the game, but there are some things we can do to make it look a little better. So to start, we can center these buttons and make sure they're like the similar or the same size. So like that, maybe a little bigger. There we go. And you can center that like that, center that like that, and put it just like that. And then we can make this label hide when the game isn't played, so that way it doesn't say winner. So before you press any buttons, we just say winner label dot hidden, which is a Boolean statement. Hidden equals yes, so that means it's hidden. Pretty self-explanatory. And then down here, after you do all this stuff, it makes it unhidden, so no. Oops, capital No. There. And then copy that, put that after every button is pressed. And there, you could also make the welcome label hide when you press the button. So you just say welcome label dot hidden, hidden equals yes, and you can copy that, and it'll hide the labels. We can also change the background color of this. So you go other, and you can choose any color. We can make it like a nice easy to see. We'll make it like a brownish color even, like that, and that'll make it very easy to see. See, I think the scissor button's a little bit bigger than the paper button. There we go. Now they're the same size. We should probably make the rock button the same size as the other two. Okay, and then from there we can just run the program. Should open up iOS Simulator. And as you can see now, it's got a cooler background color. The buttons look a little more centered, and it doesn't appear until now. The welcome label disappears, and we have a fully functioning app. And you can modify anything you like on the appearance by just going through here and this little menu. If you click on this and here, so you can change, the background and stuff. You can change stuff about all that stuff, and that is up for you to decide. Thank you.